I don't think I can handle much more of willful ignorance. My mind is just going crazy, having to deal with this world and the way that people voluntarily decide they are not going to hear or know anything, and especially when they claim the name of Christ while they do it. That's the biggest shame. There should not be. Oh, hi, Tammy. That should not be a thing. There should not be so many people who straight up tell you, I'm not going to. Hey, Clifford, they straight up tell you that I'm not going to hear the truth. I've heard that today, and I've heard too many times in the last 7 days, too many people tell me they're not going to listen. People who expect you to listen to them. And that to me is just overwhelming and frustrating. There's some big truths in the world. I'm not just gonna read like tons of scripture or anything, but I want to, you'll see why I read in this verse here in a second, okay? Because there's a lot of people, and one in church today that gave me this lack of listening. This. Yeah, greetings back to you there, Clifford. Hi, John. So I'm going to give you this verse from the guy who's said by Jesus to be the wisest man in the Bible, okay? Solomon. So Solomon said this, okay? A wise man will hear and will increase learning, and a man of understanding shall attain unto wise counsels. And then I'm going to talk about a little bit here in this other verse. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and instruction. So there it is. The beginning of wisdom. But look, the first thing it says is a wise man will hear. And that right there is what I want to talk about. A wise man will hear. I am so tired of people this week. Hey, Earl. Good to have you, man. Donovan, good to see you. The very first thing I want to talk about is a wise man will hear. So many times this week, I've had people just straight up tell me that they do today. A person told me they do not want to hear the truth. Straight up. And I'm not even talking about like the Bible or religion or anything like that. I was trying to tell them about how, about 9/11, that somebody ordered a hit job on somebody this week. Somebody I know, I'm not going to tell you who it is or anything, because I don't have their permission to say it. Don't you think that should, how many times do you go into a country church and tell people that the president of the United States ordered a hit on somebody? You could give them the sources of the people that could prove it to you if they wanted to hear, but not one person is interested. The blissful pill, sweet but bitter. Yeah, they say ignorance is bliss, don't they, Earl? And apparently there's a whole lot of really happy people in the world. My head is going to explode. I come in and I tell them that the president of the United States or someone very close to him ordered a hit on somebody that I know. And there's no interest. Instead, it's I don't want to hear about it. Don't tell me. 2 people told me that, actually. Another person said, don't tell me anything about it. How is that possible? Yeah, I bet she does, don't she, Tammy? Isn't that unreal? It's weird the way people shut their ears. But what did the wisest man, according to Jesus, say? A wise man will hear. That's how you recognize a fool. If they shut their ears at the beginning of your conversation, they're not increasing in learning. You can be sure of that. You don't have to be religious to understand that that's a true statement. If you're not going to listen, you're not going to know anything. If you're not going to hear what other people have to say, calm down. It's a game of sorts. That's all. It's hard to calm down, Earl. I've about had it with people that just don't listen. But you're right, because I sat there and said last time, if you get somebody emotionally unhinged and the other person won, And I am feeling a little emotionally unhinged. So the people that don't listen shouldn't have the right to control me like that, I suppose. So, in honesty, it's not a good thing to be unrattled and unnerved. I don't understand a world where nobody listens to one another. And it gave me this idea of something I would love to do. But when you make minimum wage, it's not like there's a lot of options available. But I think I've about had it with church, about had it with Sunday school. I'm so close to just saying enough's enough. But when you weigh the good, there's good things too. Okay? There's the good part that, one, you're recognizing to your family a higher power than you. And that's incredibly important. You're affirming that there's something bigger in the universe than yourself. And that cannot be understated. And also, I notice that the people around me, even though they're ignorant fools in certain capacity, if I had to say, I think there's roughly 500 people in our church, give or take. I don't know. I never counted them. So let's say all those 500 people live next to me, and we had a community of those 500 people. I promise you it would be the most peaceful community around. There wouldn't be the drugs and the gangs and, all the graffiti and garbage and all the fights going on. I mean, it would be, because they are, as generally more retained and better people, emotionally more mature for the most part. So there's a balance. You say, well, they're good people, and you want your family to be around good people, and that's true. Also, you say, well, what are the alternatives? Let's say I decided to quit church today and I wanted to join in with some sort of a group. Well, this week I've already did a video on what kind of group, on how well I'd be taken in a group like Zach's, for instance. Because if you think for yourself and you don't repeat exactly what he wants you to hear and use the words that he says he wants you to say, then he wants nothing to do with you. And again, I would say to him, a wise man will hear. He says, well, you're not awake if you're religious. Well, I see people who are religious and who are not awake. But I also hear a man on the radio on YouTube telling me that the best way to become aware is to smoke pot and take mushrooms. And I say baloney on that. Awareness doesn't come through any kind of a drug. Awareness doesn't come through manipulating your mind. It does come through knowing yourself, but it also comes mostly through what Solomon said in the Bible. A wise man will hear, because no one knows everything, and everybody knows something that I do not know. Therefore, every single person is my teacher. And so it gave me this idea. What if I started something on my own? I'm not a natural born leader. I have no personality skills. As an INTJ sort of personality type, I don't want to get to know people. But I do have a lot to say and to teach. So how does this person like that run any sort of an organization of any type? Hi, Christy. Hi, Dana. So how do you go into something and start and get people to listen to you? How would you be able to show them what's going on in your government? How do you show them that your government is run by pedophiles and get them to understand? How do you show them that the Bible is gematriated, that it has alternative meanings to the direct exoteric meanings? It has esoteric meanings as well. No, I haven't tried mushrooms. No, I never drank a drop of alcohol, never smoked a cigarette. Virgin when I was married, all that stuff. I played the game straight, buddy. Straight as I could. And that's not me virtue signaling. I'm only telling you that because you asked. No, I'm not. No, I don't do that stuff. But you can become aware without it. I think one great thing that people can do to become aware and understand that they don't need the drugs is listen to a guy named, oh, dang it, he's up in Oregon. What is his name? I used to listen to his meditation. If anybody knows what I'm talking about, he has this meditation video. He used to be on the radio. I think he probably still is on the radio. Been on the radio for like 60 years. He's in his 90s now. Roy Masters. It just came to me. Roy Masters. Not his original name. And if you can just calm down enough to feel your own body, it's amazing what it does. If you become aware of your own body, it's absolutely astonishing how you'll feel in control and understand that you don't need anything else. Entertainment, Earl, you know, buddy, you really got something there. That's honestly, because when you live in a world of people that only are entertained and have no wisdom or knowledge outside of entertainment, that is a fantastic way to get to people. And I can't underestimate how important the arts are to trying to wake people up. How many people are really doing that, though? How many people's waking people up through the arts? I don't know of any. They seem to be on the other side everywhere I look, you know. They seem to be the people trying to hide the secrets, not reveal them. So if you listen to Roy Masters, that's a great way to wake up. That's a great way to get past any need for any kind of a drug, any sort of external stimulus to control you. And it does help. First time I did it, it scared me bad. I actually literally thought I needed an exorcism because I thought that I had seen like things in my mind. You say you need drugs to trip out. No, you just become aware and you'll see them. You'll see them in your mind's eye, not with your physical eye. The things that people see when they're on drugs, I mean, I know what they're talking about. And you can do that just through calming down, because those things will jump out at you. I don't know what they are. I don't know if they're manifestations of your mind. I don't know if they're spiritual. I don't know. I don't know what they are, but you can definitely see them. There's no question in my mind. So Mark and Zach have fallen out. I'm not sure who Mark is. I've seen a few fallouts on this mission. Yeah. Well, honestly, listen, what Zach teaches as far as his gematria is 100% true. I'm with him 100% on all that. Okay. So I don't want anybody to stop listening to Zach. That's not at all I wouldn't tell anybody that. I want people to learn the truth. What I'd like to start, I keep starting to say what I'd like to start, now I'm going into it. Some sort of a group. If you know anything like this in your town, do tell. Some sort of a group that's not quite a church. It might have to be organized under a 501c3 or whatever for tax reasons. I don't know. There may be some other way around that too, and I have ideas. Perhaps the people could just directly pay the bills, you know. Here's the electric bill. Here's the account number. If you want to pay it, just, you know, add $20 to that bill or whatever, you know. Maybe ways around the 501c3. I don't know. I'd have to look into it. Because as soon as you say you're a 501c3, automatically you're going to have the stigma, oh, you're a church, you know. Well, there's other organizations that aren't churches that are 501c3 in their taxes, but still most people aren't aware when they are, and then if they find out you're a 501c3, they automatically assume you are a church. Well, I don't want that. I want to get it out there, and I want to tell people this is truth. Let's bring anybody together who just wants to tell us what you know, and it's a take as you want. You see, church seems to filter truth like through some sort of a filter so that they can control what's being said, as if they own each person in the room, and that is something that bothers me a lot. I don't think they have a right to be able to control what you hear, or think that you're only permitted to understand certain things. Therefore, I think that everyone should have a right to be able to voice their opinions, their thoughts, their understandings, and have a chance to communicate. And not only what they know through knowledge, but also communicate their needs and their desires and their wants and frustrations and that sort of thing. Yeah, the truth movement people are all just gatekeepers. That's exactly right. Every single one of them trying to control the knowledge, and you go through them to get what they want so that they can make money. So it's much more difficult if you're not in it to make the money. Christy, if you know somebody with the answer to this, I am all ears. Our local citizens group considered organizing formally, and a man I know knows how to do what you want. I'll definitely forward, by all means. Art LeBeau, okay, yeah. I'll make a note of that here on my piece of paper here I got beside me. Art LeBeau. Okay, that'd be great, Christy. I appreciate that. So having a organization where you can come and go, learn as you will, walk away as you will, maybe even sell some snacks or something like that to help pay for the bills. I'd rather earn it than have it as a donation. But then the second part of it is that you spend most of the time organizing how to help people in your community. I'm so tired at church. Somebody actually suggested today, they said there was a widow in the church that had a need and not very many people responded. And I said, that's exactly what I've been saying in my videos. And when I suggested that he start a Facebook group and immediately announce the needs to everyone so that we can all jump in and help, he scowled at me. And I don't understand that. I don't understand the judgmental looks. I don't understand how people are so unopen to any sort of new ideas, as if a Facebook group is like, the next big, or is some sort of a satanic attack or something. I don't know. It's just like, what in the world is wrong with people? You suggest to them, maybe you should, if you're going to help people around the world, you just help them directly instead of, spend years and years getting missionaries. And, they take 4 years to learn the language and they go over there and, as soon as they get over there, without fail, their kid gets a runny nose and they're back in America a year later, and it's a year and a half, 2 years later before they go back there, and then they go there and then they have to get to know the culture. And it's, 12 years, 15 years before you have any fruit for what you do. And in most countries of the world today, there's already churches. So you just give them, you just go find them and help them directly. And you don't, with the rare exceptions of places that don't have any churches, then send a missionary to those ones. But, just help the people around the world that need help. And that's how you're going to make the world a better place. The world's not going to become better just through becoming a gatekeeper and keeping a doctrine pure. That's not how we're going to make the world a better place. Is there a place for doctrine? Yeah, there's a place for it, but there's a place for it that needs to be shared on an individual basis through love and through understanding and through proof. And if it's not true, there's probably something that's going to be wrong with what you say. But if you say the truth, I feel that certain numbers of people will gravitate to what you say, because I think the truth is recognized by people who want to know truth. And there's not very many of those people. Just because somebody says they're aware and awake and they go with Zach, well, it doesn't mean they are. Just because they do mushrooms like he wants or smokes pot or whatever, it doesn't mean they're aware and awake. Just because you know Gematria doesn't mean you're aware and awake on everything. And likewise, just because you go to church and, you're a pretty good person does not mean you're aware and awake and open to increasing your understanding and learning. Most people reach a plateau in their lives, and it's an inexplicable thought to me that you can only go so far. And I've learned everything there is to know, and I will hear nothing else. And therefore, if you don't come through the right channels, I'm not going to listen to you. But unfortunately, sadly, that's how the majority of the world is. They'll only hear through one source. Anything else, I'm not open to. I've decided this is what I'm going to learn from. I've decided that these are the things I'm going to allow to influence me. This is why when somebody knocks on my door, I don't care who they are, if they're a salesman or if they're Jehovah's Witnesses or whatever, I am always receptive to them. What if there is something I don't know? I'd love to hear it. You're more than welcome to come and tell me. But without exception, I always find out that they're not. because the conversation is never two ways. And once you start to tell them anything, they immediately are offended and get upset and go. Well, what's the point of going out and having a conversation with people if you think that no one else has anything to offer, that you've already achieved everything there is to know? The church is supposed to help the widows first. Amen to that, Christy. That's exactly right. They should be helping the widows and the orphans and gosh, there's so many in this little town. Heroin is at an epidemic level. I know it's bad everywhere, but it's like the epicenter around here in West Virginia area for some reason. I guess, I don't know if it's cheap and people are poor or what, but I've never bought any heroin, but I assume that's why. Because if you're broke, you gotta, it's unbelievable. And I had a friend had to go to the hospital yesterday, and before they would help her, they had to test her to see if she was she never used a drug her whole life, but they had to test her for that before they'd treat her. And here she was for an hour, and with broke out in a allergic reaction to an antibiotic that they gave her, and a great deal of discomfort, And there's no reason for that because they could have gave her a shot and a Benadryl right away. But no, they had to test her for heroin and, whatever other drugs around here that people are constantly doing. So there's a big market for helping people around here. And I don't mean market financially. I mean, there's work to be done, and it's not being done. And the answer isn't just, doing what some of the shelters are doing and just giving them a home for the night or whatever. There's more than that, that may be definitely a part of it, but I've noticed that because there's shelters around here, they come from just all over the state to this area. And then what they do is they go there at night and they spend all day begging for money to buy more drugs. It's crazy the way the world works. But I think it could be designed better. I think there could be, if you're going to stay here, you can't beg for drugs in the day. You have to, let us help you. We want to help you become a better person. We'll feed you, we'll clothe you, but let us help you. That's all we ask. So there's definitely some room and some, and then of course if there's a disaster, if somebody's cold, yeah, you help them. You don't ask questions. You say, well, you're on drugs, so we're not going to help. No, not like that. No, that's evil. You help people that really need help. But in the process, you're offering a service that says, let us help you. Let us help make you better. Let's not just feed you and clothe you and turn you around on your way and just let you go. Let's help you get better. And a lot of people don't want that help. I understand that. It's difficult. But what it takes a lot of times is an investment in people that people are not willing to give. An investment in actually hearing what they have to say. And I think that is the biggest weakness in all people right now. A wise man will hear and will increase in learning. Jeremiah, it's good talking to you, man. Hey, Jeremiah knows his stuff, man. If you guys want to hear somebody wax eloquent with a country accent, sound like a country bumpkin, but everything he says is like, it's so deep, You're in Indiana, and you sound more hillbilly than I do. I don't know how that happened, Jeremiah. Are you not originally from Indiana? I'm curious about that. Everybody says I have an accent. I guess I do, because even when I go to Michigan, everybody says I have an accent. But Jeremiah's got it bad too. I don't know where he got it though, living in Indiana. Our own hopelessness is helplessness. Yeah, I get that. We need to spread hope by having the confidence that we can help. And the way to help people is to listen and invest yourself in their lives. It doesn't mean invite them over to your house where they can hurt your kids, but it does mean spending an inordinate amount of time, because people need a support structure that is deeper than once a week meetings at an AA meeting to get off of their drugs, because that's why they only have a 10% success rate. Well, what are you going to do the other, however many hours are in a week? You're going to meet for an hour, and it doesn't work, for the vast majority of people. Just country. Okay. All right. Well, I think I don't know if I earned my accent from the country. It's not really country per se. It's just a small town where I live. So I guess this is just how people talk around here where I'm at. I don't know. Now, I'm actually on the Ohio side. So somebody says, "Oh, you live in Ohio. Why you sound like?" I've actually had people ask me that about 4 or 5 times now. Well, I didn't know people in Ohio sound like that, but you have to understand. I walk outside, I can see the bridge to West Virginia. I work in West Virginia, so you know, yeah. So shoes are still optional this close to the river. Cy, maybe we need to start a stop talking, start listening movement. There could be a yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I would love to hear people just be able to come in and just talk as much as you need to talk, and have somebody there that doesn't need money to do it. And I understand we all have to live, okay? But there's ways we can support them. We can sell candy, and there's all kinds. Good heavens, in Chicago, I used to pay a kid's school bill $350 some a month by going out and selling candy on street corners, and we paid the bill. There's a couple times I didn't quite make it, and I paid for a bill or whatever. But it's amazing what you can do if you really want to, and if you really want to help people, how it can be done. A startup to solve world hunger, and I pitched it to a millionaire and got turned down. Well, of course you did, because then they'd have to do something, and it blows my mind how we see so much wealth and such blindness to the rest of the world. As you know, Pete, I help that girl over in Pakistan. I just sent her another $22 yesterday. And I was, she's just so thankful, and there's so much she could do if a lot of people would help her. She really needs help bad, I mean, they hardly have any food. They're literally widows, okay? It's just a young lady. She's not a girl, she's a lady. She's like 22 or something like that. Lives with her mom and her brother, and I think her sister's married and moved out now, And every day I go to the gas station or whatever store and see people buying lottery tickets, and it blows my mind. You don't need a lot of money to make a huge difference. This girl went to the hospital here a few weeks ago for a back surgery, and she thought I'm never going to have enough money for this surgery. She says it's just too much, and I don't have anything. She might she just finally found a part-time job, but you have to understand, in a Muslim country, and you're Christian, the Muslims won't hire you, okay? And they treat you like dirt, and you're most likely going to get raped and hurt while you work there, almost for certain. Even in a hospital or something like that, even a high-paying job by their standards, which might be like $5 a day for a high-paying job. If you're a woman, you're probably going to be raped and molested by the Muslims, and that. Here they're widows, and they need help. With no joke. And you say, well, how do you know that? Well, I verified them. I sent a ministry to their house, a local ministry, that has, in other countries, you actually have to have, that's crazy in America, we don't understand this, but in other countries, you have to have a license, some other countries, for your ministry. And, I verify them through a licensed ministry, not just something that, I'm not for licensed ministries. I'm just telling you, I don't want the government to license a ministry by any stretch of the imagination. But if you want to see that it's, an officially recognized thing over there, and you're going to send the money overseas, it's not such a bad thing, because you're seeing that they're actually registered by the government as a Christian ministry, you see. Otherwise, a Muslim country is not going to let you say you're Christian, if you're Muslim. You understand that you're verifying the ministry first, and then the ministry verify the person that I'm helping. So, I'm not being foolish about it and just sending money to anybody. I've seen people do that. I had an aunt literally take the, not quite the Nigerian prince, but a very close derivative of it. This person claimed to be a U.S. serviceman, and if you just give me $30,000, and she did. She gave the guy